And I go into a great deal of detail about who she was, what she was, and how her history links back all the way back to the Makatemas of the United Monarchy. That there were these important women who played out important roles within the within their theology. They were known as the God's wife, and you will find a lot of the reasoning behind what Mary Magdalene was doing in the title of God's wife. It comes back from Egypt again, because within Egypt, without going too much into detail, God needed a consort, and the original god Atum did not have a consort. There was no goddess equivalent, and so he needed a consort, and so the position of God's wife was invented, and so we have this mortal wife of the god, and this tradition has gone all the way through the Egyptian eras, all the way through the United Monarchy and into the 1st century. And I've no doubt that Mary Magdalene was the God's wife in that era. And the names match up and many things match up. And so she was Mary Magdalene, Mary of the Tower. Magdalene means tower. And the original tower this referred to was probably something to do with the pyramids. So she was Mary of the Tower. She was the equivalent of Isis. And of course, if we look at the Madonna and Child imagery, of course, from the New Testament, it's pure Egyptian. It comes from Isis, of course. And so she was a manifestation of Isis. But we see sort of little manifestations of Mary Magdalene down the ages as well, because she was lost from history. You weren't able to mention her as being such an important part of the New Testament story. And so we had all these extra stories were made up, fairy stories. Things like Rapunzel in the tower with her golden hair. Of course, Mary Magdalene in the Talmud is known as the dresser of ladies' hair. And of course, Magdalene itself means the tower. So the lady in the tower with the hair, it's just got to be a reference to Mary Magdalene.
Right.
And so we get a lot of these lost princess stories running down through later.
Why was it so important to demote her to a lowly woman and see to it that Jesus remained a celibate? Yeah.
It has to be the destruction of the royal family. As I said previously, Saul set up Christianity. It had nothing to do with the Church of Jesus and James. He could not be the leader of that church if there was a royal family running alongside him, who were still existent, still had sons and daughters.
So she had to be demoted, and he had to be written out of the script.
Yeah, the whole of that royal family had to be destroyed. Otherwise, the popes could not be the popes.
So we go to...
And so they had to be destroyed.
So we go to the crucifixion.
Yeah. So the crucifixion. So, was Jesus crucified? Well, possibly. But I don't think he was crucified in AD 30, because all of these events that we've been talking about, the links with Josephus, the being persecuted within Galilee and so on, all of that happened in about AD 60, 65.
And when would Mary have come into the picture? Had he married her and had children with her? One of the primary problems for Judeo-Christian theologians is the disturbing reality that both King David and King Solomon, the most celebrated kings of Judaic history, cannot be found in the historical record. How can this be? How could the wealthy and influential empires suddenly disappear from the archaeological record? Historian Ralph Ellis, author of Jesus, The Last of the Pharaohs, and other intriguing books, says that the lack of evidence may simply be a matter of looking in the wrong place. His research into ancient texts through the science of etymology has led him to some original conclusions. Perhaps the most startling is that the Judaic culture may have stemmed from the Hyksos line of Egyptian pharaohs.